Glassjaw is an American post-hardcore band from Long Island, New York. The band is fronted by vocalist Daryl Palumbo and guitarist Justin Beck. The band has been influential in the progression of the underground music scene in the eastern United States and United Kingdom and on the post-hardcore genre, and are known for their intense live shows and previously frequent lineup changes. Biography: Early years. The band formed in the summer of 1993 after Palumbo and Beck met each other at camp. Of the band name, Beck has said, "We had a list of names, and we were just like, let's pick one of these band names, which one's the coolest?" At the time there were a bunch of bands coming out with two names in one like that, like Mouthpiece, Glassjaw, stuff like that. We were going down the list, and the first name that I liked was Swiftkick. I'm all like, fit a unregistered trademark sick name. But for some reason Glassjaw stuck. There's really no reason behind it. It just sounded cool. The band played their first show in 1994 in Oceanside, NY. In the early days, Beck and Weinstock were also playing with Jewish straight-edge metalcore band, Sons of Abraham. Sons of Abraham constitute an important influence on Glassjaw, songs such as Hurting and Shoving by Glassjaw drawing particularly on earlier Sons of Abraham releases. Palumbo was in his own straight-edge band called Busted X. The group's lineup changed constantly in their early years while they played in the local New York hardcore scene. Beck's primary instrument throughout this time was drums, but switched to bass guitar when Ariel Telford left the band in 1998. And then switched to lead guitar when Chris Baldwin left and Manuel Carrero joined the band in 1999. From 1994 to 1999 the band did several demo recordings of some songs that would eventually appear on their official releases, as well as several other compositions that would not see official release. The band recorded the 5-song Kiss Kiss Bang Bang EP in 1997. The record was released independently on the label 2 Cents a Pop, and saw a re-release in 2001 without label affiliation. The lineup on this record was Daryl Palumbo, Justin Beck, Todd Weinstock, Chris Baldwin and Ariel Telford. Star Above My Bed, from the EP, is still in the band's setlists to this day. A significant recording came in 1999 working with Don Fury, showcasing songs that appeared on their debut LP Everything You Ever Wanted to Know About Silence. Everything You Ever Wanted to Know About Silence. In 1999, the band entered the studio at Indigo Ranch in Malibu, California with producer Ross Robinson to record their first full-length album titled Everything You Ever Wanted to Know About Silence, which saw release in 2000 through Roadrunner Records. On being signed, Ross showed up at a practice. Beck recounts. "We start a song. 5-4-3-2-1. Ross stands up, waving his hands and he's like, 'It's over, it's done. I want to do this, you've got a deal.'" The lineup on this record was Palumbo, Beck, Todd Weinstock, Manuel Carrero and Sammy Siegler. Robinson has said of it, "Our goal at the time of that record was to destroy Adidas Rock," a self-deprecating reference to the Adidas-sponsored bands Robinson had produced and championed as part of the nu metal movement. The music was aggressive and unrelenting, but also included spacious songs like, When 1-8 Becomes 2 Zeros, Her Middle Name Is Boom, Piano, and the epic Everything You Ever Wanted to Know About Silence, the latter of which deals with Palumbo's problems with Crohn's disease. The music, accompanied with Palumbo's lyrics which were often bitter and resentful towards particular characters he was discussing and his singing style in itself powerful and aggressive guttural screaming along with a melodic touche created a unique dynamic. Although Everything You Ever Wanted to Know About Silence is often cited as a milestone post-hardcore album, it saw little push from Roadrunner, causing the band to garner an ill will towards the label. Matters were somewhat worsened when Palumbo started to have bouts with his Crohn's disease on tour, as his aggressive performance style sometimes triggers a relapse, which has the potential to be fatal. It is alleged that Roadrunner would not allow Palumbo to leave the tour to rest. Larry Gorman of Orange 9mm officially took over drumming duties partway through touring, which saw dates with Deftones and a 6-week European tour with Soulfly. The lineup continued to rotate following the conclusion of the tour when Manuel Carrero was kicked out by Roadrunner for being the only member to have date conflicts with touring. The album will be pressed on vinyl for 2009, limited to 10,000 copies. Worship and Tribute. In 2001, the band entered the studio in secret with Ross Robinson and began recording their follow-up album Worship and Tribute, which would see release the following year. The album was engineered and mixed by Mike Fraser. They left Roadrunner, finding them problematic, and shipped the album to other labels and ended up signing a deal with Warner Brothers Records. The lineup on this record was Palumbo, Beck, Weinstock, and Shannon Larkin of Amen and later Godsmack, who provided drumming duties due to recording time constraints, as he had worked well with producer Ross Robinson in the past, although Larry Gorman was composing parts and officially the drummer of the band. Ross Robinson does not use a click track when recording drummers, as he believes it takes away from the true essence of the music. This album showcased a more melodic and mature Glassjaw, as they started to further incorporate jazz and ambient influences, particularly in tracks like Ape Dos Mil, Must Have Run All Day, The Gillette Cavalcade of Sports, and Convectuoso. Palumbo said of it, "It's a copyright lang of influences, a collage is what this band is all about." This record pays tribute to everything from Bad Brains to Anthrax to The Cure to Squeeze and so much more. Lyrically, the more confrontational elements heard on Everything were reined in, with Palumbo taking a more cerebral approach. Dave Allen joined the group as bassist following the recording of the album. The band then toured extensively throughout 2002 to 2003, playing all over the world, including festival tours such as Warped Tour, Ozzfest and Snakehall. In October 2002, dates in Germany and the UK were cancelled when Palumbo was hospitalized in Paris after suffering a relapse of the Crohn's. He underwent intestinal surgery. The dates were rescheduled to December, but he suffered another relapse. On their return in April 2003 he was hospitalized again in Glasgow, Scotland, which led to cancellations including the Kerrang! Weekender and a date at the London Astoria. Hiatus and rebirth. The band took a hiatus in 2004, while Palumbo was composing and performing with his new group Head Automatica Euro, which included drummer Larry Gorman Euro, and Beck worked on his band merchandise business. In late 2004, Todd Weinstock, Dave Allen, and Larry Gorman were all fired from the band, fueling rumors that they had split up. Indeed, the band's website displayed RIP Glassjaw in the header for a time, though this may have been in jest. The band denied that they were splitting up and cited Palumbo's ongoing problems with Crohn's disease as one of the reasons for the hiatus. After a 2-year hiatus, the band played 3 shows in 2005. 2 at the Downtown in Farmingdale, New York, with proceeds going to charity, and a spot on the Eust's tour at the Hammerstein Ballroom. They were initially meant to be main tour support for the Eust, but Palumbo had further problems with his Crohn's. Manuel Carrero, who had been playing with a band named The Giant, replaced Allen as bassist after nearly 5 years away from the group. Daryl Lang, who was also a former band member from their early years, replaced Larry Gorman behind the kit. The band did not fill its vacant guitarist role and continued as a 4-piece. In October 2005 the band released a B-side EP of songs not used on Worship and Tribute, titled El Mark. Their official website became active once again in November 2006. The band would go on to tour in December of that year support for Deftones, and a few headlining shows of their own. Palumbo said, "The best thing about the tour was just having it happen." Also, on New Year's Eve of 2006, he played at 2-day festival Stillborn Fest in Connecticut, alongside Hatebreed and others. Along with new material was the confirmation that a new album would be released in 2007, with the new songs introduced at the shows included. Glassjaw's official site homepage showed 7.7.7 in large bold text, referring to a one-off show at the Carling Academy Brixton in England. It was then announced on fansite glassjaw.net that they would be playing a warm-up show at the Camden Barfly on 6.7.7. These shows were the first in the UK for 4 years. At the end of 2007, Glassjaw, for the first time, headlined in Southern California in various venues such as the Avalon in Hollywood, the House of Blues in San Diego, and the Glass House in Pomona. This was dubbed the 100% Maybe Tour, a joke referring to the uncertain nature of their tours due to frequent cancellations. The band was one of the headlining acts of 2007 Saints and Sinners Festival at the Asbury Park Convention Hall in Asbury Park, New Jersey, along with Against Me. Around this time, the songs on Glassjaw's MySpace music player were taken off, and a track called Yum Yum was put up. The track was a loop of a distorted drumline, however the last few seconds featured undistorted drumming. 6 days later, this track was removed and replaced with a track called Last Lisp. Unlike Yum Yum, it is a looped bass line with no sample at the end. These were snippets from the recording process for the next album. In 2008, Glassjaw returned to the UK, playing at the two-day festival Give It a Name in Sheffield on May 10, and in London on May 11. They also did shows in Cardiff, Wales, and Dublin, Ireland. New EPs and upcoming third album, Glassjaw's next album is highly anticipated, not only due to their last full-length release dating back to 2002, but also the delay and lack of information regarding its status and/or release. In an interview with Palumbo in the July 2006 issue of AP magazine, he stated that the band were in the process of writing and recording new material for the next album, which they hoped to release in 2007. Palumbo hinted that there could be a unifying concept behind the album. In November 2007, in the first Glassjaw interview in years, Beck revealed they had written about 11 good songs, 7 I love, and 4 to 6 half-baked ideas we need to finish. In an interview with Kerrang! Palumbo stated that the new album should be released by the end of this year or early 2009. I hope. Details emerged from the Greixa in May 2008 that the album was awaiting vocals, and should be wrapped up and completed in the coming months. In a May 2008 interview with Verse One magazine, Beck said, "Right now Euro unregistered trademark D, just be happy to finish up this record. Euro unregistered trademark M, sure if Euro unregistered trademark S not a giant pile of shit, we Euro unregistered trademark D love to play it live. Exact dates, plans, don't know yet." In a June 2008 interview conducted by Glassjaw.net, Beck stated, "As far as I am personally concerned, there will be a release well before the end of the year. The album is not being produced by Ross Robinson, as with previous releases. Beck is co-producing the album with his friend Jonathan Florencio. Jonathan Florencio is also engineering the album. Drum, bass, and guitar parts of 13 songs have been tracked, but Palumbo has yet to finish the vocals. Vocals have been recorded for You Think You're, Jesus Glue, the reworked Star Above My Bed, and Natural Born Farmer, all of which have been played live and which are expected to be included on the album. However, tracks Convectuoso and Midwestern Stylings were not included on Worship and Tribute, despite media reports and announcements at live shows. A fifth, unnamed track has only freestyle vocals recorded, perhaps indicating that lyrics have yet to be written for the rest of the album. It has been rumored that the album will be self-titled, and Beck has hinted, though speculatively, at a possible digital release. He has also said he would like to release the record himself, but it is likely it will be released by Warner Brothers, as with Worship and Tribute. On October 14, 2008, bassist Manuel Carrero wrote on the Glassjaw.net forum, "I feel like a kid that's been asked to clean his room, but the room still isn't clean, and every time the kid peeks out of the room, he is immediately asked if it's finished. I wish I had an answer for everyone, but I am pretty much in the dark. I mean, leak to Euro unregistered trademark SB Frank, here. I just play the bass. I have no delusions about my role. I have no control of what happens with the band. I would love to tell you that the record is done. I would love to tell you when or if we are going to tour again. The sad truth is, I just own a Euro unregistered trademark T no. I'd own a Euro unregistered trademark T no if anyone knows." On October 23, 2008, Tommy Corrigan of Silent Majority revealed he had heard recorded songs from the album, and that it had a Latin-Spanish music feel to some songs. They were heavily groove feel-oriented. This has been affirmed in an October 29, 2008 interview with Beck, which also states the album has a split style, with the 5 songs featuring vocals sounding much unlike the rest of the album. On November 22, 2008, the band posted the drum intro to You Think You're John Fucking Lennon on their MySpace page, naming it It's a Fucking Intro You Asshole for the album Don't Ask Me with release date 2022. On November 28, 2008, the band posted the full studio recorded version of You Think You're John Fucking Lennon on their website as a hidden stream. They removed all usual site material and links, replacing it with a Glassjaw flag backdrop, which linked to the band's official clothing line. As of March 5, 2009, Manny replied on the Glassjaw.net forums in regards to an article from AbsolutePunk.net that reported all but 4 songs are done. Just so the thread doesn't continue with more speculation, I will say now that I was misquoted. I said that only 4 songs have vocals, but that's old news, anyway. I can't really discuss any more than that. I probably shouldn't have even discussed that. Manny has recently been playing shows with influential New Jersey post-hardcore band Thursday. Although consensus is that Manny is simply filling in for Thursday's bassist and has no plans to join the band or leave Glassjaw, this has still sparked considerable discussion amongst fans. In May, Palumbo stated through his Twitter that he was demoing vocals on new songs, and that fans should be hearing new music rather soon. In a post made on his Twitter on June 14, Palumbo said, Beck and I are sitting in his car listening to the new Glassjaw EP that we've just completed. Shit slams. It is unclear whether the EP is meant to be a promo for a full-length album, or if it will be the final Glassjaw release. Edit, this has now been confirmed by Daryl himself that the EP is a promo for a full-length album via Twitter on June 23, in which Snatcher 2047 asked just read your interview. Are you saying there's gonna be a Glassjaw album to follow the EP? Daryl replied, Snatcher 2047 of course. On July 20, Palumbo confirmed through Revolt that there will be a new Glassjaw EP and LP to be released in the coming months. He was quoted as saying it's a 5 or 6 song EP, and the EP will be slightly different from the full length. The new Glassjaw stuff is far more aggressive than it was previously. This is stuff that Justin and I have been working on for a long time. It's far more aggressive than I ever thought it would be. In the fall of 2009, Glassjaw supported Brand New in their upcoming tour. Not long after, Palumbo, Beck and Manny conducted an exclusive video interview for Glassjaw.net on Ryan's Rock Show, where the band stated that the long absence of released material was due to decisions we made when we were 21 years old, alluding to a possible legal contractual dispute with either Roadrunner or most likely with their previous current label, Warner Brothers. In December 2009, it was announced that Manuel Carrero and Darija Lang left Saves the Day in order to focus entirely on Glassjaw. This made it clear that both Carrero and Lang are not just hired touring musicians and are full-time members. In January 2010, Glassjaw debuted a new song, titled All Good Junkies Go to Heaven Live on their UK tour. The song was titled by Daryl Palumbo via Twitter some months before. This is the first new song Glassjaw has played in nearly 4 years. In addition, the band also added El Mark and Convectuoso to their setlists, 2 fan-favorite B-sides that are almost never played live. On the last show of their 2010 tour at Emo's in Austin, Texas, the band premiered a new song with the tentative title Wolfeg. On June 17, Chauncey from Cardboard City posted a picture on his Twitter of a CD which is labeled to be the new Glassjaw EP with a tweet following saying it sounds cliché and all the bands say it but the heavy is truly heavier and the melodic stuff is more beautiful than ever. Viva Glassjaw. And don't be too jealous GJ fans cuz this shit is gonna be out sooner than you know it and is very much so worth the wait. You'll love it. In August 2010 they will return to the UK to headline a heavy music festival held at the Portland Wild Animal Park near Folkestone. Temporary session bassist Sarosh Broe stepped in for the tour. On August 6, 2010, the band released a 7" vinyl single for All Good Junkies Go to Heaven, spray-painted green and pink on either side of the vinyl at the UK's Heavy Fest. This is the first official Glassjaw release since 2005's Elmark EP. On August 8, 2010, via Merch Direct, All Good Junkies Go to Heaven became available for purchase. Within hours of availability, the vinyl had sold out. Shortly thereafter, in addition to the launch of the single, a one-take live video of their 2008 song You Think You're John Fucking Lennon was posted on the official Glassjaw website. On September 8, Glassjaw announced the release of another vinyl single for release on September 9, 2010 for the song Jesus Glue, as well as a digital download for All Good Junkies Go to Heaven in various formats. On September 23, Glassjaw posted a video for the song, Stars, a reworked version of Star Above My Bed, a fan favorite. As they did with Junkies and Jesus Glue, October 10 saw the release of yet another vinyl, Natural Born Farmer, and the digital release of Jesus Glue. November 11, 2010 was the date of a Glassjaw pizza party at Mario's Pizzeria in Seaford, New York City. The event began at 1:11 p.m. and a 7" vinyl for the song Stars was available for purchase. Lucky buyers also received a free ticket to participate in a secret fan shop video shoot for Wolf Egg at 11:11 p.m. at Merch Direct headquarters. Glassjaw's Merch Direct store crashed several times on 11/10 at 11:11 a.m. and 1:11 p.m. due to high volume. Ontario, 11/10 at 11:11 a.m. The Merch Direct store made the Star 7 vinyl available for purchase. Within minutes, the vinyl sold out. Later on 11/10, Natural Born Farmer was made available for digital release. The band will be playing a show at New York City's Best Buy Theatre on January 1, 2011. On December 12, Glassjaw released You Think You're on vinyl, which instantly sold out. On December 19, an Amazon.com page listing was opened for a Glassjaw EP titled, Our Color Green with a 111 release date, all but confirming the rumors of the vinyl tracks being on the aforementioned EP. On December 20, Merch Direct began selling ticket poster bundles for Glassjaw shows across the U.S. On 111, the Our Color Green EP was released digitally to online music retailers including iTunes, Amazon, and eMusic among others. The band also encored their show at the Best Buy Theatre in New York that night with 5 new songs that Daryl confirmed would be on the band's forthcoming album to be released early in the year. At 11:11 a.m. on January 11, Glassjaw.com began streaming a studio recording of Gold. The website's background was changed to a live band photo with the text coloring book, The Extended Play. Available exclusively at Venue. Greatest. After the first concert on their 2011 tour, February 13, 2011, the new EP coloring book was given away free to each fan that attended the concert. Glassjaw played 2 shows in the UK, at the London HMV Forum and the Cardiff Solace, with support from Napalm Death, and also headlined Soundfest, playing alongside other artists such as Brother Ali, Del the Funky Homosapien and If He Dies He Dies. The band also played the Radio 1/NME stage at Reading and Leeds Festival in August 2011. Glassjaw played their first show of 2012 in support of Rise Against's Endgame tour. It was the only show Glassjaw opened for them on the tour. A Day to Remember, The Menzingers, Architects, Touche Copyright Amora Copyright, and Title Fight are also supporting selected dates. Glassjaw have been added to the Sonosphere Festival lineup and will perform Worship and Tribute in its entirety during their set. However, it was announced on March 29, 2012 via Sonoshere's website that the festival was cancelled due to issues in setting up the festival. As a result, the band have scheduled a date at New York's Irving Plaza to play the album in its entirety. The band also played Heavy Festival 2012, alongside acts such as Converge, Rollo Tomasi and Will Haven. This will mark Glassjaw's second time playing at the festival, and the first since headlining it in 2010. On December 1, 2012 the band played the Unsilent Night Festival in Texas, where they performed a cover of the 108th song Woman. In the summer of 2014, Glassjaw once again briefly returned to performing, playing a brief set at the Amnesia Rockfest and confirming appearances at the three-city destination festival, Riotfest. Style and influences. The band's sound has always been rooted in the New York hardcore scene. Elements of the late 1980s youth crew style of hardcore are prominent in their earlier recordings, and youth of today have been cited as an important influence. Beck has cited Faith No More's attitude towards making music as an influence, while Palumbo has specifically cited Mike Patton as a huge influence on him. In addition, the band claims to be influenced by Lifetime. Apart from this, Palumbo's lyrics are known to frequently quote other artists as a tribute, quoting acts such as Frank Zappa, Tori Amos, Gravediggers, among others. Problems with Roadrunner Records. Both Palumbo and Beck continue to speak unfavorably of Roadrunner, years after the problems the band experienced with them. They openly advise people not to buy their first full-length so as not to give the label money, and have repeatedly told fans at shows to illegally download the record. Palumbo has said of them, Roadrunner is a joke. Roadrunner a unregistered trademark is not even a real label. It has the power to be one of the superpowers in the heavy music industry. While labels like Victory Records, which is such a small hardcore label, is totally surpassing Roadrunner. Roadrunner is a joke. It's like the scourge of the music industry. Beck has said, seriously, don't ever support anything from Roadrunner, they suck. Palumbo has said that Roadrunner didn't put the band on enough tours, we never toured half as much as we wanted to, I just wish we got to tour more in support of everything you ever wanted to know about Silence. And we were on Roadrunner for a couple of years and Roadrunner was a joke, a fucking joke of a label. They are a miserable fucking corporation that does not bend for their bands, does not give their bands anything and they're just terrible businessmen. They are a giant joke of a label. They had two cash cows, Slipknot and Nickelback, and every other project they had rode back seat to those bands, and then the second that the new Slipknot record came out and didn't go quadruple platinum in the first few hours it was released they fucking turned their backs on Slipknot. That label just wants instant gratification where it sells its units and does a joke. You can't run a major corporation with that as your business strategy. Regarding the re-release of the remastered version of Everything You Ever Wanted to Know About Silence on March 2009 by Roadrunner, Beck was quoted by All to the Press in saying it's complete shit. We had nothing to do with it. Do not buy it. It's embarrassing. Band members, current members, Daryl Palumbo lead vocals, Justin Beck lead guitar, keyboard, percussion, bass guitar, Manuel Carrero bass guitar, Darija Lang, drums, percussion, former members, Nick Ulico guitars, Chris Baldwin guitars, Todd Weinstock guitars, vocals, Dave Bachter bass, Ariel Telford bass, Dave Allen bass, Sammy Siegler drums, percussion, Larry Gorman drums, percussion, touring members, Brian Meehan guitars, Mike Calio guitars, Scotty Reddix drums, percussion, Stefan Lind drums, percussion, Matt Brown bass, Mitchell Marlowe bass, session musicians, Shannon Larkin drums, percussion, timeline. Discography, studio albums, Everything You Ever Wanted to Know About Silence, Worship and Tribute, EPs, Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, L Mark, Our Color Green, Coloring Book, Demos, Untitled, Our Color Green in June 8th Time, The Impossible Shot, Split with Motive, Monster Zero, The Don Fury Sessions, Singles, Compilation Contributions, Music Videos, see also, Head Automatica, United Nations, Men, Women and Children, Classic Case, Saves the Day, Sons of Abraham, Roadrunner United, References. External links, official website, official fan site.